I want to thank Karen Jackson and the members of the Planning Committee for the Community for All Conference for inviting me to talk to you today about parent support. My name is Tom Jones, and I'm the founder and retired executive director of SHARE. SHARE is a nonprofit and ministry that focuses on the needs of family members and supports them in many different ways. I was a special ed teacher for 25 years and in the elementary school. My job was to find a way to teach kids with learning disabilities, physical disabilities, or developmental disabilities. I never thought of it from the perspective of a parent till I befriended some parents and a family. Jacob was a 6-year-old with autism, and he would get up every morning at 2 o'clock, and his mom would have to get up as well. Jacob would want to fix himself breakfast. He would want to go outside and play. His mom had to get up and stay up with him. And when she walked him to school, she was exhausted. She needed a break. Heard about the respite care ministry in Plano, Texas called Friday Night Friends. I had some friends that attended there, and I looked into it and I thought we can do that at our church, First Christian. So I took the idea to First Christian Church, and after initially balking at doing something so big, the church agreed to start SHARE, a respite care ministry. They did this even though it was going through a split, and we had no minister, and we did not have half of our congregation which had left. So it really was a God thing. But to prepare, I went to as many parent support group meetings as I could, and also attended parent meetings to talk about SHARE and also to gain parents' trust. What I heard was astounding, story after story about struggles and challenges, medical, educational, relational, family struggles in relationships. It was obvious that there were many issues families were dealing with, but they had little support. So SHARE tried to meet some of those needs that families had. And in doing so, SHARE became more than just Friday night respite. It became an organization that focused on the needs of family members, parents, moms, dads, siblings, and other caregivers. We've learned from our parents so much, and over the years, as we've developed more and more programs to support them, I've discovered that really what we're about is creating opportunities for wholeness. And what I mean by that is that the relationships that make our lives whole are not always there for parents of kids with special needs. And so our job has been to create relationships and to create opportunities for new relationships and develop a community of support. We learn a lot from our parents, and I want to share with you some voices of the parents who are involved in SHARE.
A special need affects everyone in the family. Family members need support too. SHARE, caring for families where there are children with special needs.
When I got his diagnosis and got into SHARE, it built my confidence. It gave me friends. It gave me a family situation. It opened up a whole new world for me and AJ. Our first walk, that is how I told everybody Austin had autism.
There's just a lot of events that they missed out on and never could take them to the mall to go see Santa. With SHARE, I'm able to do that.
You need a lot of support, just, even if it's just encouragement. I have an extra set of hands that can help at any given time, when I'm around these families, and, it's important.
Parent support room was really surprisingly is one of my favorite things. I mean, you get to hear about new things, a new resource that's in town, or a parent may be going through something and they'll lay out exactly what they're going through and how they handled it. Share for me, help me for it, like make friends that had siblings with disabilities, so I wasn't just alone with that.
It does feel like a community. It feels like you're a part of something, and
it feels like you have people supporting you.
I mean, Share, it saved our marriage, because for a little bit it felt like we were just roommates, because we didn't go anywhere together without the kids. We hadn't been on a date night in years.
AJ had tonsil surgery 2 years ago, and I couldn't take more than 2 days off work. So they would come stay with him while I went to work. And it was really comforting, not only to know I had that respite care available, but I knew they were gonna take care of my son the way I would.
Becoming friends with the other Share families is something that we value a lot. I don't know where we'd be, honestly. I don't feel so alone.
I didn't expect it to turn into a family where you look forward to seeing everybody.
It was really like, if it wasn't for Share, 8 months ago when we had a traumatic event in our family, I don't think we'd still be here in Midland if it wasn't for Share.
that's right.
I don't have to go grocery shopping at 2 in the morning.
The holidays, to me, are the best part of Share, because we wouldn't get to go to a Halloween.
Family support is important because of what each family member endures.
He was kicked out of daycare when he was 2. I had to quit a job because I couldn't get daycare because people didn't understand.
And I have friends that have kids, but they never bring them over to play with my kids, because I have the kid that has the meltdowns, or the kid that stims, or the kid that has seizures,
Their kids will ask questions or laugh and they won't address it. I feel like as you're their parent, you need to.
You just kind of just stay at home and not want to go out there because you know that it's going to freak him out. And you're like, is it worth it for Caden? And generally the answer is no.
I didn't sleep hardly when he was little because he didn't sleep. Everything bothered him. I would go to church, come straight home. I didn't really socialize. I didn't really do much of anything.
He gets bullied sometimes because of his legs. My friends ask him, what's wrong with him? I have to explain to them what's wrong with him. A lot of people ask me, so it's hard.
It's hard.
Sad, yeah.
Yeah, hard. Kind of more in the life you thought you guys were gonna have.
For me personally, the physical aspect of caring for my son is very, very difficult, because he is a big boy.
It gets emotional because then you start thinking, okay, you failed them, or you're not doing something good enough.
Of course, you would get all from people, you would get, oh, just send them with me a weekend, I'll fix that. It's just a discipline. You need to spank them.
We were doing probably 10 plus hours a week of therapies on top of trying to work and be a single mom.
Because Camila she hits herself when she's overwhelmed sometimes. So we've had people leave the restaurant or tell us to leave or move, or tell us to get our kid quiet or to shut up.
They would get up and then, they would go complain. And
I don't ever want anybody to feel like I did that first year.
There's folks that come in that are new, whose kids are newly diagnosed, and you're looking at this mom and her situation or this family, and you're like, you're me 4 years ago, come here, I'm gonna help you out.
With that, I think that's part of the healing process through all of this, is to reach out to other people and learn how to heal them too.
I was like, whenever I meet a family, a mom, who their kid just got diagnosed, I want to reach out to them as fast as I can. I'm kind of like, hey, you didn't want a friend? I'll be your friend.
Parents have been our teachers. We've listened to them, we've listened to their stories and tried to provide as much support that we can. We've learned so much from our families. one of the first things we learned is that parenting is a 24/7 job. And so the respite care ministry that we started, Friday Night Respite Care, is a gift of time to parents that they can use to go out on a date or go home and rest or connect with friends. It's their time to use, and it gives them a chance to take a break. One family, the Marufos, had a daughter with Down syndrome who was 5 years old. They had not been out on a date or out with friends in over 5 years because there was no childcare for their daughter. They were so excited that when they joined Share, they dropped their daughter off. They went and checked into a motel, laid down on the bed, turned on the TV, and fell asleep. They just needed to rest. They were excited about that. They got their rest, and then, but they penciled in on the calendar their respite nights as their date night. They also used, or they also found out that their son was writing in his journal about how angry he was because they never spent time with him. So they decided to use some of their time to spend quality time with the sibling. So they would take him different places on Friday nights and make sure he had plenty of attention as well. Another part of the one of the other things about parents is that they are isolated from so many different things. The isolation was the biggest surprise that we learned from our parents. Um, they say it takes a village to raise a child, well, when parents have children with special needs, they have to go find that village. It's not always a parent. They have to look and search, and some people find it, many do not. So the isolation is a really tough thing to overcome for many of our families. Some are isolated from their own family because family members don't always understand about the disability or don't feel comfortable around a child with a disability. They're isolated from their friends because when you have a child with special needs, your hopes and dreams change. You don't always share that in common with your friends or your peers. It's also hard to get childcare because you can't just ask the teenager down the street to come watch your child with autism. Childcare is difficult to find, so parents usually just stay to themselves. They're also isolated from other special parents. Where do you go? Where do you go to meet other families with children who have autism or children who have Down syndrome? It's hard to meet other people and to meet people who genuinely understand what that's like. What the relationships that are formed with other parents of special needs children are very, very, very rare and very highly valued. They're like gold. And so to do that, Cher decided to start provide socials, swim parties, holiday celebrations, seminars, all of which help families connect with other families and to overcome their isolation. They're also isolated from resources and information. It's a maze of information that they have to navigate. There are medical resources, pediatric specialists, and therapies that they have to find out about. Government programs are hard to navigate as well, the qualifications and the waiting list that each program has. Then they have to find out about the disability itself. And when in cases such as autism, there's a lot of information out there. What is accurate and what is up to date? And then there's the special education system, the laws, the programs, qualifications, and children's and parents' rights. Share tries to provide resource fairs, seminars, and speakers for support groups and referrals to other agencies that can help our families. And finally, they learn one of the things that parents are successful in doing when it comes to learning about resources and information is connecting with other special parents and who've been there and know the people to contact and know the organizations that are helpful. Some of our families also are isolated from the community. You just can't take, as the woman in the video said, you just can't take your kids with a disability to the mall to see Santa because of stares, judgmental comments. It's hard. It's one of our parents' biggest fears. It is going out in public. We just don't know. They just don't know if their child will be overstimulated or act out or what. So Cher decided to host some of our own events: the Century Santa, Easter egg hunt, Valentine's dance, a Halloween party, back to school party, family swim party. We like to party. But these events are for the kids, but really they're for the parents too and the whole family. They help the family feel successful. They give them an opportunity to connect with other special families and to celebrate life and celebrate these special holiday occasions. How important is this community of support that we try to create? The United Way asked us to provide outcomes and to provide proof on how are we making a difference for our parents. And so we developed a before and after questionnaire that we gave our parents to measure how successful we've been. And so the before and after, we measured how successful we had been in creating friendships with other special needs parents. You can see before and after. Everybody made more friends. About 65% had more than 7 friends who had children with special needs. We also always believed that the marriage relationship would improve. So we asked people to measure their marriage, the quality of their marriage before Cher. You can see how it's all scattered. And after Cher, you can see how the majority of people rated it good or excellent after enrolling in Cher. The United Way also asked us to measure other items, which we don't really work on. They asked us to measure if parents had a healthy way to deal with social and behavioral problems before Cher. And you can see what before Cher and then after Cher. A huge improvement there. Finally, we asked them to rate their ability to make informed decisions before Cher. Again, you can see the scatter. After Cher, you can see everyone rated their abilities as good or excellent. Now, Cher did not work on these issues through its programs, but our conclusion is that because people have a community of support, because they have other people who understand and have their back and support them in their efforts, it improves all aspects of their lives. They can become healthy and successful families with these relationships. Including persons with special needs in our community of faith is really what we're here about. We're trying to create ways for them to be included and for them to belong to communities of faith. There's so much good work that's being done now. And tools that we can use. And I hope you'll research those and look at some of the books that the presenters have written, and also some of the tools that are in these books. There are different inclusion models that we can follow as well. But the work of inclusion in our communities of faith is important, because we have the opportunity to offer grace and acceptance to families in the very grace and acceptance that families need. And we can reflect God's love and the love that says that we all belong to Him and to one another. One thing to remember is that when we include that person with special needs, we are including their family as well and offering them the opportunity to have a relationship with God and with one another. Now, many families don't come to church and they don't belong to a church. We found that out through Share, but we want to make some efforts to invite and include them. We want to provide a door for them to open, and we want them to find a family that's inclusive, that's accepting, and so that is our goal. It's hard to prepare, and I don't think there is any cookie cutter way of doing faith inclusion. Because every need is different, our resources are different, and we have different ways of caring and including persons with special needs. But the main thing that you have to offer is your relationship. I can testify that at First Christian Church in Midland, when we started Friday Night Friends, people came on Friday, but they also showed up on Sunday. They wanted to belong to that community of faith. And fortunately, our congregation was very accepting and included. We worked as hard as we could to include persons with special needs and their families. We had bumps, but we were able to include them in Sunday school, youth groups. We sent buddies and shepherds to church camps with them. And they just grew up in our church knowing that they belonged and knowing that they could participate. At a youth Sunday, 20% of the children that participated had some type of disability or special need. One of our kids, CC, knew that he has reactive attachment disorder and fetal alcohol syndrome. He was in a rough situation, removed and placed with a foster mom, and then adopted by that foster mom. Now, CC is developmentally delayed, and you never know how he's going to come to church. It might be in a Batman costume or a cowboy hat and boots, or dressed up in a coat and tie. And we also never know what's going to happen, if he's going to be overstimulated or act out. But and he has done that. But he's a great little boy, and we all love him. And so one Sunday before Thanksgiving, all the kids were up at the front for the children's sermon, and the associate minister asked them, "What are you thankful for?" And after the kids gave their answers, CC stood up and faced the congregation and said, "I'm thankful for all of you." CC knew he belonged in this church, and he knew that he was accepted, and he was grateful for that. Churches and communities of faith have so much to offer: the gift of grace and acceptance and belonging. The journey towards wholeness for our families with special needs begins with establishing a community for all and creating opportunities for relationships with God and others. And it's these relationships and a supportive, caring community that heals and makes our lives whole. Join us as we continue to work to be an inclusive community and a caring community where persons with special needs and their families can belong and be a part of the family of God. Thank you.